Good morning. It is Kwak TV time, because why watch crap TV when you can watch Kwak TV? Well, me, Calvin here, and it is Wednesday. And as a Tuesday then, it is Wednesday, and I hope we are all powering through. It's the last day of the month, and what have we done this month to make it count? So if you are jumping on live, please do jump in the comments and say hello to me. And if you are watching this live, on replay, get my words out this morning, put hashtag replay in the comments for me, because today we have a powerful guest on the show, and that word is key in everything that they do. So make sure you keep tuned in whilst I bring Thornton on, who is rocking a very good dressing gown / bathrobe at the moment, because they are in a hotel and it's fabulous. And I think that just says so much about this person. And I love it. It's great. It makes me so happy inside. So yes, like I said, if you are watching live, please share this far and wide as well. So it would be fabulous to get this where we can ever get it. And you can share it far and wide from my Facebook page, Kwak Talks. So as we know, every day on Kwak TV, I go through an array of different things. But what I'm doing is this week, to keep it nice and short for Coaches Weeks, we've already had Mr. Brad Burton on, got Taz today. I'm just going to do one or two things, and then I'm going to bring the fabulous guest on themselves. So every day on Kwak TV, I like to go through the different days of the year, because I've really got into this now, and I really like knowing what's going on the different days of the year. So today, apparently, is Crayola Crayon Day. Yep, that's right. Get out your crayons, people. Let's do a bit of drawing. I don't know if you've seen that thing where you tape them to like the top of a canvas or a bit of paper and then warm them with a hairdryer. Obviously, fire hazard, be careful. Then it drips and then it turns into a picture. Looks quite cute. It is also World Backup Day. Have you backed up all that information on your computer? How is everything actually stored? Is it on a cloud? Is it external? What are we doing, people? It is also Manatee Appreciation Day. Yeah, manatee is in the animal. That looks like a seal, but it's not a seal. It's a manatee. You know what I mean? It's also Eiffel Tower Day. I take it this might be the anniversary or the birthday of the Eiffel Tower. It doesn't elaborate. It just shows me a picture and a title. And it is also, what a random day, Bunsen Burner Day. Yeah, Bunsen Burner. So we're celebrating all the Bunsen burners in the science classrooms today. That's what we're doing. So yes. Oh, what am I doing? I'm clicking all the wrong things, people. You know when you're meant to be a pro at this. There we go. So yes, today's guest, who I'm about to bring on very, very shortly, we are powering through with hotel internet. So bear with us. It's fabulous. We work for everything, especially this person. They can power through anything. So with no further ado, this person inspires, they motivate, they make you realize that you are absolutely amazing. And that's why I love this person. Plus, they can rock the colors purple and pink all day long. So with no further ado, I'm about to bring on the one and the only Taz Thornton. Good morning, kind lady. How are you?
I'm good, thank you, Callum. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Rocking the bathrobe. So whereabouts are you at the moment?
What can I say legally? I'm somewhere in the Lake District. I can probably say that.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So Taz, just in case people don't know who you are and what you do, who are you and what do you do?
I'm Taz Thornton. I'm an award-winning coach. I've written a couple of best-selling books, Unleash Your Awesome and Whispers from the Earth. You sometimes see me popping up on TV or hear me popping up on radio or see me in magazines and stuff like that, and newspapers. Been in the Daily Mail twice. I find the irony of that quite amusing. I work with people in business on visibility, message, personal brand. I work with individuals on confidence, spiritual empowerment, and I get really, really geeky when it comes to building your visibility, using the right social media channels, getting yourselves all the publicity you need. That's kind of, I sometimes do firewalking and glass walking and crazy shit like that.
You do. You really do crazy shit like that. I love it.
Yeah.
But you are so big on, in particular, PR and marketing. And obviously everyone should be. But it's one of them things you absolutely scream at people like, come on. You need to do it. It's not going to do it itself.
It's not.
Why? Like, why? I know why, but why is it so important? And why do you scream it at people in a good way till the point they understand it? Like, why is it so important?
Well, before I became a coach, my background was in journalism, when journalism was like proper journalism, not like journalism today. There are still some really good journos out there, to be fair. I also ran a PR and digital consultancy with my wife, Asha, for a while. And if we all think about where it is we want to get to in the world, if you think about your biggest, scariest, hairiest goal, for a lot of people, if that involves building your client base, getting to the point where you're a household name, getting to the point where you're working with household names at least, that means more people need to be aware of you. So if you think of that big juicy spot you want to get to and reverse engineer that, a massive step on that path is getting to the point where people know who you are, people understand what you do, and people want to hang on your every word and hear more. And in order to get that vehicle moving in the right direction for you, you need to be visible on social media, you need to be showing up in the right places and showing up powerfully. And that means not just being lazy and scheduling and spamming everything out. It means people need to hear you, your message, your opinion. Part of that is PR, part of that is marketing, part of that is social media. That's why it's important. You cannot be a secret and a success at the same time.
Oh, I like that. You can't be a secret of success. Oh, I like that. That's made my mouth water, that has. I've not heard that. That's fabulous. So how did you go from, journalism to coaching? How did that go from one to the other? Because that is completely different.
Completely. Well, it's kind of completely different, except back in the good old days, journalism was all about being able to pull the right stories out of people and get them to a place where they felt comfortable enough to tell their story and to trust you with it. I was never one of these journos that was twisting words and stuff that so many people, there's such a nasty stereotype with journalists. And honestly, the good guys are not like that. I went in it because I wanted to create and enable positive change, genuinely. And I was fascinated by people's stories. And I think when we hear about journalism today, it's that kind of foot in the door, gutter press stereotype. And it's not like that. It definitely wasn't back then. So where were the similarities? Well, again, I had to be able to get people into that comfortable state where they trusted me with their stories, where they were able to open up, where I could pull those strands out of people that they might not have realized were there. So actually, that is quite a parallel. What I realized, however, is the further I got up the tree, by the time I was in my 30s, I'd worked my way up to UK director of what at the time was one of the world's biggest multinational publishing companies. So for somebody in their 30s, that's like quite big. But I was gradually realizing more and more that, that old adage about climbing to the top of the ladder, then realizing it was up against the wrong wall, that thing. And I recognized that what really filled me up was helping people. And if I went back to my formative days as a journalist in kind of local and regional press, that's what I was doing. I was setting out to help as many people as I could. It was just a different vehicle. But it genuinely took some really big life kicks for me to actually change direction. So I'd already been interested in all things spiritual from being knee high, she says, gesturing to below the screen level. I was always one of those weird kids who was kind of seeing and sensing things the other kids weren't, and there was nothing wrong up here. So you pull that together, and my soul mission, if you like, was to use my intuition, to use my gut, and the set of more left brain skills to be able to enable powerful change for people and to help them to get there. But it wasn't until in the period of 8 weeks, my uncle died, my dad died, a load of family debt came to light I hadn't known about, which meant my financial future as I thought it stood was gone overnight. In that same period of time, I'm an only child, so I was trying to handle everything and the funerals and the ring rounds and all of that stuff. My wife was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis in the same period of time. And she was made redundant. This all happened in 8 weeks. And at the end of that, when I found myself kind of crying and rocking and trying to hide under my mum's dining room table, I recognised something had to change. Something had to give. And it couldn't keep being me giving of myself. By then, I was rattling with antidepressants. I was just going through the motions. I was hiding behind the pinstripes every day. I was going into work, going and driving somewhere at lunchtime, calling home and crying, putting the face back on, jacket back on, get home, cry, self-medicate with a bit too much whiskey, not to the point of alcoholism, but just enough. Cry at night, get home, go to work, hide. And that went on for a while. And I can look back in retrospect and see that I worked through a breakdown for 4 years and hid it from the majority of the staff members and my employees. And even then, the only thing that kept me going, that filled me up, was finding people in the company who perhaps weren't enjoying it, or maybe they were about to be performance managed out, and going to their manager and saying, can I just have a go? And they'd be like, you're the director, what do you want to get in? But just let me have a go. And every time I managed to turn them around and get them to the point where they were enjoying their life and turned into model employees. And so clearly the signs were all there. So while I was still in that job, again, I was already training on the kind of spiritual side of things. I spent a decade or so learning with shamans and medicine people, which was all to do with mending the soul from the inside out. I trained as an NLP practitioner. I trained with the same guys that trained Tony Robbins to become an extreme empowerment coach that built in things like firewalking and glass walking and breaking arrows with your throat, crazy stuff like that. I trained as an enterprise mentor. I did a bit of coaching and hypnosis training. So by the time I left there, I was ready, except when I first left, I went back into that comfort zone again and worked with my wife to rebuild her copywriting business into this full service digital marketing PR agency. And the idea was that we'd do that until I built up my clientele enough to step out and do it full time. And that happened about 5 years earlier than we thought. And of course, the back story that anyone who's followed me for a while will know is that before I'd done that, I'd got out of an abusive relationship. I'd been suicidal for a while. I'd tried to step off the planet, ended up breaking my back in 3 places, got interrupted one time just before I was about to go to my parents' banister with my childhood karate belt around my neck. So all of these steps that showed me I was not happy, but at the time, because we're so kind of tunnel vision, and this is what we're meant to do. We're meant to get into a business and work our way up and stay in that career.
Yeah.
And it was tunnel visioning me into my soul shriveling and dying. So it was really Dad's death and everything around that gave me the kick to change things. How's that?
Fucking hell. Christ. Well, this really does elaborate on why you're so big on the exact phrase of unleash your awesome. This really does elaborate on that. And your success, I had Mr. Brad Burton on the show yesterday, who I know is a good friend of yours. And, he's had similar kind of, he's had moments in his life where he's gone, actually, I need pinnacle change. A bit like, well, I say a bit.
Yeah, he had the whole shot through the window thing. I escaped from somebody who had an arsenal of guns. I didn't mention that, but had to go into hiding for a while when I left. But hey, it was fun. I could keep going, Callum, honestly. I'll blow you tiny, mate.
Like, everything you've had, so unleash your awesome. In a nutshell, I know it might be bit self-explanatory. What does that stand for? What is the unleash your awesome?
I genuinely believe that we all have this reserve of awesomeness. And of course, technically, if I'm going to put my journalism head on, it should be unleash your awesomeness, but that just doesn't scan well. We all have this pot of untapped potential somewhere down in our gut. But what happens is, we're born, we start to learn from our peers, and gradually we start to lose the sense of the self that we were when we came into the world, and we start to layer on these masks and become the person we think the world wants us to be. And very often we get to a point in our lives where we recognize that everything on paper looks great, but for whatever reason, we're just not enjoying it. And because we're not taught so many of these really, really old ancient medicine, earth wisdom techniques to do with checking in with the essence of who we are. I don't care if you call it your soul, your energy body, your unconscious. They're all pretty much names for the same thing, really, from my point of view, at least. I don't care what you call it. But through the mechanism of Western world life and monotony, we lose sight of that. We're not taught how to look after it. And so we wake up one day and wear a shell of who we think we should be. So when people talk about the midlife crisis, and this boils my piss quite a lot, when we see all these, it's usually a sitcom-y thing where we see somebody laughing about somebody's midlife crisis. Somebody's either done a Shirley Valentine, or it's the middle-aged fella that's on the golf course and having an affair with his secretary and buying the sports car, and we laugh it off as a midlife crisis. And I don't believe there's actually any such thing as a midlife crisis. I think what happens is we get to a certain time in our life and we recognize that life is not filling us up, and we have a light bulb moment. And we don't know what to do with it because Western society does not prepare us for this. And so we try to fill that void in all kinds of ways, whether that's all kinds of addictions, whether it's sex and drugs and rock and roll and fast cars. We try to fill the void. Meanwhile, the outside world looks in and goes, ha, 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 look at that person wrecking their lives. It must be a midlife crisis. Instead of stopping to think, no, there's something that is desperately unhappy. There's something they're trying to fill, some void, and society has not taught them how to do it. And for those who are brave enough, or who at least are able to follow those subtle signposts to find somebody like me or any of the other amazing coaches you have on your show who can help them, or they start reading personal development books, or they start just doing something to learn that there is an alternative way. If they don't do that, that's a real danger zone where they do then start to get very unhappy with life and start to become a statistic. So once you get to that point, that's the tipping point for so many people. And if you are able to follow the signposts and find someone who can help, or something to help and allow you to rebuild, I genuinely think my breakdown was my breakthrough. It's the best thing that ever happened, because it broke me down to such a point that all the crap I'd been carrying spilled out, and I was able to rebuild in the shape that I believe I was always meant to be, which is not to say regret. I don't believe in regret. If I hadn't been through all those things, I wouldn't have the teachings and the empathy and the insight that I have today. So when I say the shape I was always meant to be, that's not to say I shouldn't have experienced all of those things. I should have experienced all those things. I did, because that brought me to a point where I was able to say, no, that's the real Taz, and I can use all of those things. And that's where that pot of awesome potential comes from, because we can then use all of those experiences to empower our future. Your past doesn't have to dictate your future, but it can empower it if you know how to flip your negatives and look at it in the right way. And once you start to peel away those masks, which can be terribly, terribly painful, and you know, a lot of tears. And another thing that annoys me is all these modern day techniques that are coming through to say we can heal your trauma without you needing to go there, and you don't need to spill the tears. That's part of the process. Going back into what we've been through is where we get the life lessons. You can't just skip the steps and suddenly be healed, which is not to say we're all broken. But for me, if we skip the steps and we don't go back into all the things we've been through, if we don't at least revisit some of that trauma, which is what so many of us are scared of, we miss the growth. It's like buying a certificate to say you've passed an exam without doing all the teachings and without looking at what you learned. So once we get to that point and we can look back at the things we've been through and everything we've learned from them, that's where we start to recognize, my God, I've got this massive well of power. It's not about being powerful and having power over people. It's about being power-full, filled with your own sense of power and your feet firmly planted in your spot in the universe. And when you get to that point, that's when you can really start to unleash your awesome and go in whichever direction you want to go in, whether that's building something inspirational, whether it's traveling the world, whether it's helping people, whether it's opening a bloody donkey farm. It doesn't matter. It's whatever is right for you, not for necessarily for the world around you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It's so amazing. Obviously, I've heard you speak a couple of times now, and it really, really is. And it is that powerful statement of between powerful and powerful. You know, that there is really a difference, and people have really got to get that.
There is.
But I want to touch back on, for us to finish off, because believe it or not, I've been talking for ages, is, you know, you said earlier, you can't be a secret and a success. Yeah, you can't be a secret and a success at the same time. Obviously, you've unleashed your awesome.
Yeah.
You've gone through all this and you've learned from it. You've grown from it. Success now has come to you. You've grafted for it. You've really worked for it. But success has come to you because you're an author. And I was having a good old nosy on your website the other day, and obviously you had the Taz Talks chat show where you had celebrities on there as well. Like, what would you doing all this? What has it allowed your success to become? You know, what has it allowed your success to become? What has it for you from having that pivotal moment of becoming more powerful? What's become of that?
It's almost the other way around. It's, you know, when I spoke about reverse engineering at the beginning, I know that part of I call it my soul mission. I know that a big part of my soul mission is being able to help inspire and motivate as many people as I can. You know, maybe I hit that metaphorical brick wall so they don't have to. But in order for me to take that message forward, in order for me to be able to fulfill what I believe I am here for and to impact as many people as possible, I needed to make a bigger name of Taz. I needed to make a much bigger impact. Believe it or not, I'm naturally a massive introvert. This I have had to learn. I've chosen. I haven't had to do anything. I've chosen to step into it. You know, I can go and speak on stage in front of thousands of people or do some TV work like I was doing last night, and that's fine. But I will still be the one hiding in the kitchen at a barbecue or a summer party saying, can we go yet? Have enough people seen us? I don't know how to make small talk. That will still be me. If I have a purpose and I know why I'm there, boom. But if
Yeah.
it's just chit chat, don't get it. So it's the other way round. It's not so much what has this allowed. It's if I want to impact this amount of people, what's needed? I need to get bigger. I need to get my my profile bigger. I need to be in more places. I need to be on bigger stages. I need to be on bigger TV shows. I need to be on bigger radio stations. I need to be on the most amazing podcasts like yours. You know, I need to be everywhere. And so it's not so much what has this allowed me to do, it's what were the steps that allowed me to fulfill what I wanted to achieve. And I'm still fulfilling that. So yes, I have unleashed my awesome. I'm still unleashing it, because the second you unleash your awesome a little bit, it's like your comfort zone grows with you. Your progress and your success grows with you. You've got to keep pushing it forwards. It's not about, well, I've done that now and springing back. It's about what's next. In the same way with coaching, you know, there are coaches who operate in a horizontal coaching mechanism, i.e. I will take you from A to B. I'm more vertical coaching. We'll take you to there, and then what, and then what, and then what, and then what, what's next, what's next, what's next? Because we cannot see what is possible from where we are. We have that glass ceiling, we have a blinkered view. And it's my job to get people beyond that and to get them excited about what their potential could be and how much they can unleash their awesome. And part of that for me was growing brand Taz.
I love it. Taz, thank you so much for coming on the show. You know I adore you so much. You know I do.
Right back at you, baby Jake.
Oh, honestly, I absolutely adore you. You're fucking hilarious. I love it. But it's, like, who else would come on my show in a dressing gown, just like, yeah, I'm here, fuck it. Let's go. I'm like, yeah, perfect. Taz, thank you so much. Hope you enjoy doing the rest of whatever you are doing. If it's not finished, I hope you enjoy. But I'm going to kick you backstage. You can hold around for a minute, have a real quick natter here before you bugger off. But thank you so much for coming on. See you soon.
Take care. Mwah.
Oh, I love that woman. I really do. I don't think anyone understands. Go and search Taz Thornton. Please, please do. Go and look her up. Look at her website. Look at her Facebook groups. Please. Like, everyone needs a bit of Taz in their life. It's absolutely fabulous. So tomorrow's show is actually at 8 a.m. It's not at 9:30 tomorrow, and we've got the wonderful Cros Crossley on. The reason we've changed the time is because I understand that everyone needs their personal time, especially after the last 12 months, and Cros can finally go have a round of golf, bless him. So I've said we'll change the time of the show till 8 a.m. because he needs that break. So tomorrow, 8 o'clock, make sure you tune in for the one and only Mr. Cros Crossley. And once again, thank you, Taz, for coming on the show. And remember, people, in the words of Banana, if you can't be good, be careful. If you can't be careful, don't get caught.